Welcome to the Healing Practice Podcast, a space for navigating the natural seasons of womanhood and personal growth. Hosted by Claire Cleaver, author, counsellor, and practitioner, this podcast explores the key stages of womanhood, from the first bloom of puberty, through fertility and birth, to the powerful transition of perimenopause and menopause. Drawing on years of experience supporting women and families, Claire shares practical insights and reflective tools designed to restore balance, release what's been held, and support emotional and physical well-being. This podcast is about listening, understanding, and walking your path with greater clarity and compassion. Wherever you are on your journey, you're welcome here.
And what we're going to talk about today is matrescence, the birth of the mother. Now, matrescence is an interesting word, and as I was just saying before, it's not a word that we use often, but it's really the adolescent equivalent. And this word was coined in the 70s by an anthropologist. And she coined this word, which is a brilliant word because it really covers the birth of you as the new mother. So I wonder if you've thought about when a baby is born, your baby, a mother is born too. And that's very, very true. And sometimes a mother is born without knowing exactly what's going on and what she's supposed to do about that. And as I was just talking about before, there's no performance review. And I think that is such a really good comment because there isn't any. You're the one making up the performance review from inside of you, and invariably that is your internal critic. And we know what our internal critic likes to do. It inevitably, or maybe you have multiple ones of those, comes from a negative perspective. You are not doing a good job, or you could have done this better, and on it goes. So in this podcast, we want to look at how a woman, a new mother, navigates the change in expectations that she has herself. And those expectations are going to come from her upbringing, her societal conditioning, and because that's exactly what it is, the type of family that she grew up in, the partner that she's married or she's with, had this child with, church, her particular education, all of those things which add to her overall conditioning. And with each of those groups, community of belonging, there will be expectations in all of those. And so let's discuss how to navigate that shift because it's a big one. And motherhood is often a truly looked forward to event because in the beginning, it is an event, a one-day event for the most part when you give birth to this much wanted baby. But after that, then the reality of what you have just done begins to sink in. And we have the 3-day blues, where the changing hormones from the excitement, the exhilaration, the ecstasy, if you like, of having birthed as best you can this beautiful baby and their arrival finally in your arms, those hormones shift. And with that sudden loss of oxytocin, for instance, which stimulates bonding, as there are all the shifts of estrogen and progesterone and prolactin starts to come on board, which is the hormone that stimulates your breast milk supply, there is a drop. And that drop can be quite significant for some women, especially in terms of the postpartum blues or postnatal blues, as it's also called. And often women can be shocked about that and not sure how to navigate that. So it's important for a new mother to have support, whether it's Tricilium, whether it's Carotining, whatever your local resource motherhood situation is. And your own mother, your own parents, your own family, if possible. So let's look at some of the myths that you would like to debunk or what it is that you wish mums to be knew about giving birth and the period afterwards. You need support. Top of the list is what you need to know in order to be the best mother, and we all want that you can be, is to have support. Whether it's your first baby, whether it's your second, whether it's your third, and you're brave enough to go on having more than 3, that one for your country, right? You still need buckets of support. There is no way, there is no physical way that a woman can look after her baby all by herself, especially the first, and to be on track with, how am I going? And to ask your partner, he has no idea or she has no idea either. They are there for your intimate support. They are finding the way as well as the new father or the other parent. But they are not necessarily the ones that you ask for advice as to how you are doing. You need to source that from external sources. But the other aspect of that is, how do you access your internal sense of, how am I doing? How do I know how I'm doing? And we'll come to that. And as a lot of you probably already know, that after you have a baby, there is a very clear identity shift. And sometimes this identity shift seems cruel in terms of that you get to experience this massive shift of identity, but your partner does not. Unfortunately, that is just the way nature has designed it. You are the essential parent at this stage. You are the mother who has grown, birthed, and now you are likely to be the one, the primary caregiver, if you like. Such a hard word, caregiver. You're more than that, tending to this baby. So you are the one that is going to bend the most. But out of that shifting, bending of your previous identity, pre-mother, there comes an identity shift for sure. And that shift needs to be allowed but understood. And often that is the difficulty with, this is, I am a new mother. Where will I be when my child is 3 or 4 or 5 in primary school, when they're at high school, and so on? How does the trajectory of my matrescence pathway change? Will I become a better mother? How will it be when I have more than one child, and so on? So these are all the questions that women often ask themselves, and having high expectations often feel that they are failing, and that is not useful. And I think the main reason, or reasons why women feel that they are failing, they have no useful network to bounce off, to check in with. Like, we have various Facebook groups, right? And those groups have been a boon for women to be able to write in their questions at 2 a.m. in the morning. My baby is not sleeping. Help. What do you do? Or I'm feeling really, really down and alone and isolated, and I'm not feeling good in myself. So those Facebook groups can be extremely helpful, because a lot of those women will have experienced what you have, and there is generally someone there who is able to offer you the right kind of advice, because it is advice, and support and guidance in that moment. Mothering often is a lot more isolating than it used to be, because we live in our nuclear homes of perfection, which they are not. And that women have, in addition to their roles of mother, they're in charge of the house, and a job is just a, what do we call that, a side gig? And all of those expectations, which really, at the end of the day, are completely over the top and not achievable to any reasonable standard that you might think is a fair standard. And that is the critical point, to find support. Women around you, Facebook groups, of course, to your local motherhood groups if you joined one. And during COVID, they became quite scarce and women didn't go to them anymore. How do women find new friends? That's really important. You need friends. That is your community, that is your network, and you need to be active in doing that and not think, oh, I'm the only dumb one here, because that's often we think, I'm the only one that doesn't get what to do or doesn't know how to recognize the signs of when my baby is sleepy. That is practiced learning. And we learn that by failing. And there is a time for that word fail, because you don't know it yet. So it's allowing yourself to have a cry, because motherhood is very much about crying a lot, about the failed expectations that you held yourself to that were completely unreasonable. So that's the foundation and the reasoning why you need to belong to groups. and to be prepared to be you, because of course you can only be you when you are asking for help. And you'll find other women asking exactly the same questions. So be assured you'll be in the right place. The invisible birth, I like this expression. So the invisible birth refers to, well, yes, your baby got born, and you as a mother, a new mother, even as a second or third mother, you become a new mother again for that child. And that expands your role of existing matrescence, if you like, or motherhood, or mothering. All the focus is on the baby, is on you while you're pregnant. But once that baby is born, there is quite a radical shift of focus. And as it should be, but not entirely, the mother in her new birthing, if you like, as the new mother, the becoming mother, the learning mother, is often overlooked. And there is this strange expectation held by so many, even your own partner, not that it's their fault, even your own parents, friends even, because they conflate your particular personality or nature as she's good at her job. She's good at her job. She's really organized. She knows what she's doing. She's a team player, or she's a solo player, or whatever she is. She's efficient. She's got it all together. And people conflate that version of you with how you're going to be as the new mother. Completely outrageous, because you haven't learned to be a mother yet. And all that previous identity of you, that took years. That took years to perfect, to get right. Years of practice. And so as a new mother, you need help. And your identity and expectations about yourself need to massively soften. It's kind of like riding a bike. It's always good to have little metaphors or analogies to come back to, but it's like you didn't just hop on a two-wheeler and just bicycle away. For Finch, it took you a while. One little foot on the pedal, or you just walked along beside the bike just to see how it felt, to see if it was steady enough for you to want to, step by step, put your foot on the pedal and the other one, and then just try it out. Motherhood is like that. So the mother is often forgotten a little bit, put on the back step. You know what to do. Yeah, we're here for you. Don't forget to ask. And so the proficient mother who's so good at her job thinks, oh, everyone has such high expectations of me. I suppose I should know what I'm doing. And then has these moments all by herself when her milk doesn't let down, her baby is crying, your baby won't attach, your baby won't fall asleep. You want to do stuff like that, shake yourself stupid because you're so beside yourself as to what to do. And so there is this complete misfit of what people see you as being able to do and not fitting with how you see it. So which one is correct? And that's when you come back to yourself. And so I do like to use the emotional freedom techniques, the EFT, when you are in a small crisis of confidence. Even though I don't know what I'm doing right now in this moment of looking after my baby, I trust and respect myself that I am learning. So something like that, which is an affirmation. And you can make those up. So you always state the negative, what's appearing to you right now and what it is specific to. And then you always end it with, and I still love and care about myself despite any of that, or I still trust and care about myself. That is your active disclaimer. And that is your foundation of, even though this is all too much for me right now, and probably for my baby and anyone else maybe, but at the core of it all, this is how I feel about myself. And take a deep breath to really breathe that in, because it's from that space, that's your internal resourcing. Your internal resourcing is vital because that's how you meet the world and how you can accept external resources by going, oh, she does it like that, or that person suggested that works for her. And then, but does it work for me? So you come back to, but does it work for me? And that's how we shift the frame, if you like, of external resources to that might work for me, it might not, and then see how it fits inside. So that becomes your meter of what's right for you and what's not. So it's just an easy one to not just be kind to yourself, but to treat yourself with respect, but to check in with yourself. Does this feel right? And to know that your internal meter is always going to be right, because it is your internal meter. So let's look at other points that might be useful. The pelvic breath is another way of really grounding you in your body. So pelvis, and I think this is so apt for women because we grow a baby in our abdomen and our pelvic area, in the uterus, of course, and this is how you open up and give birth to this baby. You create and hold life there. Therefore, this is a great space for you to come back to hold life for you and to breathe life back into you again. It could be in a moment of crisis, emotional crisis, or it could be in a moment that you have all to yourself. Or even when you're feeding your baby, you just cup your hands in your pelvis, and that can feel really nice. And that act of simply cupping your pelvis, coming back to this creative, birthing, fertility, productive area of yours, and then feet on the ground. So this is very grounding. Feet on the ground, tuck your toes either into your shoes or into the ground underneath you, floorboards, whatever it is. So you actually make contact. And then just take a breath in. And then you can say something like, I feel myself in my belly. I feel myself in my feet. And I feel myself in my heart. Something quite simple and grounding. And as I said, you can do this by yourself, or you can do that even with your baby. And I just made that up. So you can make that up. Whatever feels right for you, but coming back to the body. 3 breaths into the pelvis, moving your feet back into the heart. And you get that they're linked. There's a real connection there, heart and belly. And so let's just look at how we can just draw this to a close. And this is a really big topic, but we're going to keep it short. And it's like the woman in the mirror. When you see yourself as the new mother, it's like, who are you? Who are you now? Who are you now? And just take a moment. There used to be an old exercise where you would look at yourself in the mirror intently into your own eyes. Great exercise, very confronting. It's like, I don't want to look at myself in the mirror. But it's kind of interesting if you just look into the mirror, but you don't have to. But more important is I see you. So just take a look, I see you. And you're doing a pretty darned good job. Okay? Just those moments of validating yourself, because really the best validation comes from you, self-validation. And if we're too reliant on external sources validating us, not that it isn't wrong, but it's not the right validation. It needs to come from you. So consider that next time you feel uplifted when somebody validates you. Of course that feels nice, but check in with yourself when you do it, because it's so much deeper, so much more core focused, because you are giving yourself those validations. The missing village, critical, completely critical to find women, find friends, get out there, because community is medicine. It is. It is. We are interactive beings. We crave family. We crave belonging. And just as your baby craves being with you, recognize that you also crave being with other mothers, with their children and other families, as your partner does as well. So you are the spearhead for leading that way into providing and building a greater community. Add that to your list of jobs, but it's an important job. So I hope this has been helpful for you to learn a little bit more about this great long period of matrescence. And you are not necessarily born to it, but you learn to grow with it, and you need to ask for help and to check in with yourself as the best meter of how you are doing. Thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the Healing Practice podcast with Claire Cleaver. If today's episode resonated, you're invited to continue the journey with Claire beyond the podcast. You'll find books, guided resources, workshops, and opportunities to work with Claire one-to-one at thehealingpractice.com.au. Whether you're seeking support, understanding, or a deeper connection to the season of life you're in, there's space there to explore at your own pace. Until next time, trust your body's wisdom, honour where you are, and move gently through the season you're living.